6 division leaders after 1 week. That, for the most part, nobody expected, but of course it is just 1 week. Hey, how are you folks? Jason Horowitz, glad to be with you here on CBSSports.com with the surprises from week 1 and what to watch for here in week 2 of baseball season. Let's bring in our CBSSports.com Major League Baseball columnist Danny Knobler. And Danny, when you look back at the first week in terms of on the field, what were the biggest surprises to you?
Well, Jason, like you said, it is only 1 week, but when you look at the Padres and the Mariners getting off to the starts that they did, I think there were a lot of people who thought the Padres, they'd be struggling to win 5 games in April, let alone have a really good first week. But the other two, I think, from the negative standpoint, the Cy Young winners from last year, and when you look at Cliff Lee off to an 0-2 start with an ERA over 9. Tim Lincecum through 2 starts, also winless. Between them, 0-3, 8.83 ERA. Not necessarily going to continue all year, but even for the first week, having Cy Young winners off to that bad a start, that catches your eye.
Danny, so often we talk about hitters having great starts, and then it's not necessarily the carryover effect throughout the entire part of the season. But when you look at one guy, and the Tigers are in the lead in the AL Central after 1 week, and you could say maybe a big reason is Miguel Cabrera. Is this what we should expect all season long? Maybe not hitting 500, but carrying the team?
Oh, I think so. I said before the season, and I really believe it, I think Miguel Cabrera has a chance to have a huge year. And I think he's all set up to do that. I think a lot of people don't remember or don't even know that he led the American League in home runs last year, and he did it despite getting off to a little bit of a slow start. And I think one of the reasons that people don't know him as well, he played all those years in Florida, and even though he was in a World Series, people don't pay that much attention to the Marlins. And then when he really was great at the second half of last year, the Tigers had been so bad by that point, a lot of people weren't paying attention to the Tigers anymore. I think this may be the year people really notice Miguel Cabrera.
Tigers last year got off to that 0-7 start. This year, 4-3. As for this year, in terms of the first week, maybe not a big surprise that the Nationals are winless in that first week, and they come home for this week. Danny, as for other homestands, obviously the Yankees and Mets, they're opening up new ballparks, so that's a big storyline this week. But what other homestands are you looking for this week?
Well, I look at the Dodgers because of Manny Ramirez coming home. It was such a great thing for the Dodgers and for Manny last year at Dodger Stadium. His batting average in 29 games, including the playoffs at Dodger Stadium, was .438. 36 RBIs in those games. Now, can he do that over the whole season there? Of course not. But the way he embraced the fans and the way the fans embraced him. And speaking of that, Ken Griffey Jr. in Seattle, the big return home, the fans have really embraced him. And it's funny how things work. There was people over the weekend talking about maybe Manny going home eventually to Cleveland. And I know Torrey Hunter in spring training talked about maybe going back to Minnesota where it all began. So that's kind of interesting. The one last thing, the Tampa Bay Rays, a homestand like they've never had before. Whoever thought we'd be celebrating championship week in Tampa?
Yeah, you had the Super Bowl this year, so then, of course, you celebrated there, did the Steelers, but maybe not the Rays. We'll see if people go after opening night for Tampa, because that's certainly been the question mark with the Rays in terms of their franchise all along. Danny, one other thing. You mentioned Ken Griffey and the Mariners. They come home, and they start on Tuesday. They're playing the Angels. The big storyline for week 1 off the field, of course, was the untimely and, of course, tragic death of Nick Adenhart. They came back and they won 2 of 3 against Boston after that. Is that something you think people are going to be talking about throughout the rest of the season?
I think any time the Angels go anywhere right now, that is going to be a topic. And I think if the Angels have success, and they have every reason to have success, it's a very good team, that it will be an issue, not so much an issue, but a topic of conversation all through the year. And the way the Angels handled things over the weekend, the way they dealt with that, mourning for their teammate who they lost, but at the same time getting ready and playing baseball and playing well, I think that says something good about that team. And it's not really surprising given what we've known about the Angels and about their manager, Mike Scioscia. But again, it does remind us what that team can do.
All right, Danny Knobler, thank you very much, sir. We'll look for all your stuff throughout the week here on the website.
Thanks very much.
All right, folks, and for more on the second week of baseball, and of course, fantasy baseball impact as well, be sure to stay with CBSSports.com. For Danny Knobler, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.